Alrighty, so the All In podcast has become pretty popular, and the latest episode just came out where they give their predictions for 2023. And, that episode's over an hour and a half long, and you don't have time for that. So I watched it, and I figured I'd give you a summary here. They start out talking about how the Wall Street Journal has been writing on topics that they discuss a lot on the podcast, and basically suggesting that the Wall Street Journal is paying attention and maybe even stealing ideas from them. Who knows? Then they go on to predict that they believe that Asian American college students, or I guess college applicants, may be the biggest political winners in 2023 due to a potential Supreme Court ruling that's sort of involving discrimination against Asian Americans when it comes to admissions in Harvard and UNC, where supposedly Asian Americans are, I guess not supposedly, it's happening, Asian Americans aren't being admitted to these schools as much as they should be based on their test scores. And in this podcast, the besties, they believe that the Supreme Court will probably strike down these policies as being unconstitutional. They also talk about how there's probably going to be gridlock in Washington, and how that could be helpful actually for the economy, since there won't be as much spending. And then they also talk about how certain businesses have been successful and will continue to be successful, especially like pot shops, like marijuana shops, and also Citadel Securities. They sort of also go on to talk about how their predictions in 2022 were accurate, and that we should listen to what they're saying about 2023 because of that. And then they go on to provide some of their past predictions and how they turned out to be true. They talk about how Xi Jinping of China, they predicted he would be the political winner last year, and they said that came true. I'm not so sure if that's true or not, but I guess he did secure a lot of power in China, so maybe they were right. And then they also went on to say that that their particular podcast has become a little bit of a back channel, as they call it, for discussions about Silicon Valley politics, tech, science, and other subjects. And, that basically their podcast is being talked about a lot in Silicon Valley by a lot of movers and shakers, because they provide a lot of unique knowledge and insider perspective. And then they just go on back about the whole idea of marijuana shops or pot shops, how they're basically generating billions of dollars of revenue over the last 2 years, and that's going to continue into the future. And then also just touching on Citadel Securities, how that has generated like $7.5 billion in revenue, I believe, in 2022. So that's basically what they had to talk about. It's a good episode. If you're going to watch it, maybe watch it on 1.5 or 1.75 speed, but I've just given you all the major highlights.